broad level, there are a few basic inequalities that you should remember. Everything else you can derive from those inequalities. But there are 2-3 principles which are not really formulas, but that's something that you should anyway know. So we'll start with those few things, then a few basic inequalities that you should kind of remember, and then use everything else in combination. It can still be tricky, okay, because with inequalities, just looking at, it's not like one direct formula that you can just substitute, okay. So first simple rule is, if x is greater than y, then obviously if I add 5 to both sides, x plus 5 is going to be greater than y plus 5. If I subtract 5 from both sides, again the inequality will remain. What if I multiply by some number? If I multiply by 5, 5x is greater than 5y. What if I multiply by minus 3? The inequality flips. So if I look at a times x greater than a times y, this implies this only if a is positive. Okay, so this assumes a is positive, and if a is negative, then ax is less than ay given a is less than 0. So basically if you are multiplying by a negative number, the inequality flips, right? And that is something that usually people forget. So whenever you are, for example, suppose I had a x minus 1 by x minus 2 is greater than, let us say, 3. We assume that x minus 1 must be greater than 3 times x minus 2. That's not true. Why? Because you have multiplied by x minus 2. And so when is the inequality valid? When does this mean the same thing as this? When x minus 2 is positive. Is the basic logic of this clear? Right? So because you will end up getting some answer for this question, but that doesn't mean that is the answer for that question. Let us take an example. Let's take this itself. So suppose I want to show under what condition, or if I want to find out under what condition is this true, we can conclude that this is true if this is true. Under a second assumption. What is the second assumption? X minus 2 must have been positive. And this is also true. Is that okay? Okay, so now if I look at that and I try to simplify, what are you going to get? You're going to get 3x minus 6. The minus 6 I can bring it to this side. So 6 minus 1, 5. And the x I can take it to that side. So minus x. So from this we can conclude that 2x must be less than 5, or x must be 2x less than 5 means x must be less than 2.5. But x minus 2 must be greater than 0 means x must be greater than 2. So you can't say for all x less than 2.5 this is valid, but for x between 2.5 and 2, this will be valid. So is that the only possibility? Is that the only possibility? When I said, I could have said let x minus 2 be negative, because you will get another condition. So this gives you one condition. The second condition is let x minus 2 be less than 0, in which case I need this whole thing, this inequality to be flipped, in which case this will be this way, and so this sign will be basically that way. So that means x has to be greater than 2.5 and x must be less than 2. How many x's do you know which are less than 2 and greater than 2.5? Nothing. So that means this tells you it is a null set. So basically there is no such x. Okay, all values of x which satisfy this is basically the null set. And which means there is no value of x. And then this value of course is there. So all these possibilities and all these possibilities will satisfy that, which basically means all these possibilities. But it's important that x is greater than 2. Is that clear? So it's a very simple point that when you're multiplying by a negative number, the inequality flips. So that means whenever you're multiplying something, an inequality, remember that you have to be sure that you are multiplying by a positive number. So that becomes a condition. Or if you are sure that it's a negative number, then you remember that you should flip the inequality. So this kind of stuff is, I think, reasonably straightforward and clear. Of course, there are rules of very simple kind of rules. If I have A1 greater than B1, A2 greater than B2, A3 greater than B3, A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4 plus A5 is greater than B1 plus B2 plus B3 plus B4 plus B5. Now that was very straightforward, right? You can just simply sandwich them. Can I say A1 greater than B1, A2 greater than B2? So A1 minus A2 greater than B1 minus B2? This is not valid. A1 plus A2 greater than B1 plus B2? This is valid. Okay, addition is valid, subtraction is not. Why subtraction is not? Because if I put a minus here, this thing will flip. So one is greater and one is less. So when you're adding, you don't know whether the greater thing dominates or the lesser part will dominate. So when you're doing the subtraction, remember it's not easy. So you have to think hard. So A1 with equal to life was simple. A1 is equal to B1, A2 is equal to B2, A1 plus A2 is equal to B1 plus B2, A1 minus A2 is B1 minus B2. So with inequalities, this works, this does not work. Usual mistake, so you have to be little bit more careful. Then if I have A1 greater than B1, A2 greater than B2, A3 greater than B3, what about A1, A2, A3? Is this true? Can I multiply? Can I divide? Can I multiply? I can multiply, but can I divide? Are you sure I can multiply? Only if all of them are positive. Okay, what if this fellow was negative? Then you're multiplying by a negative number. So then it's not clear that this thing is going to be greater than that side. Okay, but so if they were all, so this comes under the condition if A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, etc. were positive. So many inequalities, there is a condition that if this is positive, then you can show. Because with negative numbers, it becomes a little more messy. It doesn't mean you can't do inequalities with negative numbers. You have to be a bit more careful. So many inequality theorems will work with positive numbers. Okay. So what about division? Suppose I said A1, B1, A2, B2 were both positive. Can I say A1 by A2 must be greater than B1 by B2? No, that won't work. Okay. But can I do something else? Product I can do. Can I do division like this? Can I say A1 by B2 must be greater than B1 by A2? Yes. If they are all positive, you can. Because a bigger number by a smaller number is greater than the smaller number by the bigger number. So that is true. Okay, but just simple division you can't say big by big, because obviously if I, very simple example would be take 2 by 3. Okay, and you take something like 10 by 11. 10 greater than 2, 11 greater than 3 does not mean this greater than this. Is this clearly wrong? Is it wrong or is it right?
It's right.
Wrong?
It is right.
Right.
It's right.
This is correct. So does this mean then that I can do this always? So give me an example, counter example where this can't be done.
Sir, increase this side. So you have
See, all I have to do is just take this fellow and make this 9. 10 greater than 9, 11 greater than 3. So it depends on this ratio, whether this ratio is bigger or that is bigger. It doesn't mean this will never be satisfied. This can be satisfied. I mean, A1 by A2 could be, but you can't be certain that A1 by A2 is always bigger than B1 by B2. But you can be sure A1, A2 will be always bigger than B1, B2. So the product, it is true if their numbers are positive, but division you can't be sure. So this is what makes inequalities a little bit more tricky. Okay. So all this is the basic inequality stuff. Now let us look at a few cases, a few rules that you already know. One is the rule about arithmetic mean is greater than geometric mean, greater than or equal to geometric mean of positive numbers. And this turns out to be greater than equal to the harmonic mean. Now lots of inequalities depend on one simple idea. a minus b could be positive or negative, but a minus b whole square is definitely greater than or equal to 0. So arithmetic means basic rule starts with that. So for example, a minus b whole square is greater than or equal to 0. And when is this equality valid? When a is equal to b. And so if I now expand this out, I'm going to get a square plus b square must be greater than 2ab, which I'll write it like this. Okay. Or equivalently, if I wrote it as a plus b by 2, instead of a square, I'm going to use root a. So I can think of this as root a minus root b. A and b are positive numbers, is greater than or equal to root of ab. This is the arithmetic mean and that is the geometric mean for two numbers. So basically, how do you prove it for two numbers? Very simple. Start with root a minus root b whole square or a minus b whole square. For a minus b, you will get a square plus b square. Just write this as root of a. Instead of a, you write root of a. Then you will get a plus b. And then you will get root a root b. Now, how do I show this for many more numbers? So basic rule here is that if I had a1, a2, a3, a whole bunch of numbers, the arithmetic mean is the sum of all these numbers by n. This is greater than or equal to the geometric mean, which is the product of all these numbers to the power of 1 by n, nth root of. Okay, so a1, a2, a3, an to the power of 1 by n. And then this is greater than or equal to the harmonic mean. What is harmonic mean? Generally, what is a harmonic progression? 1 by the AP, right? So it is like this. Instead of a1, a2, a3, you have 1 by a1, 1 by a2, 1 by a3, 1 by. So therefore, this is n by 1 by a1 plus 1 by a2, 1 by an. Let us see how we can show this. There are many proofs for this. It's an extremely interesting and useful result. The arithmetic mean is always greater than the geometric mean. And what we are going to do is to see how we can apply this in very clever ways. Once I have three numbers, applying it is straightforward. Sometimes I don't have three numbers. I may have 5 numbers. I can treat them like 3 numbers. I can treat 5 numbers like 10 numbers. I can treat 5 numbers like 7 numbers by just rewriting them in different ways. So one way is to think about it as 4 plus 3 plus 2. But I can then write this 4 as 2 times 2. So you can then think of it as 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2. Or you can write it as 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. All those are going to be important, useful ways to solve many problems. But let us first understand the basic proof here. This is proof for two numbers. There is a very clever proof that I think was first devised by Cauchy. So the proof goes like this. So his argument was, you have all these numbers into that, right? Let us assume that it was valid to up to some number. So that means you have a1, a2, some an minus 1, let's say. Okay, and plus an. Actually, you don't even need this. You don't even need to assume it was valid up to some point. Suppose you took all this, right? And if I bundle these two fellows, right? I made these two equal. That is, I am replacing an minus 1 and an by an minus 1 plus an by 2 and an minus 1 plus an by 2. What happens to the arithmetic mean? Nothing. What happens to the geometric mean?
Something.
It becomes smaller. Why does it become smaller?
Because you're summing it up and dividing.
Because if I took these two fellows, this product is smaller or larger? Sorry, not the geometric mean earlier was smaller. This is the one that is larger. Okay, why? Because if I made these two the numbers, it's very easy to show. Because if I had A and B, imagine I have A plus B by 2 plus A plus B by 2. You know this is bigger than root AB, right? You know this is generally true. And so the product of these two must be bigger than AB. Correct? So if I look at that AN and AN minus 1 that I had there and compare it with these two product, which one will be bigger? This is going to be bigger than that. Right? Without changing the arithmetic mean, I have now made the new geometric mean larger than the older geometric mean. Then you calculate of two other numbers. Basically, take the average of those two numbers. Arithmetic mean has not changed. Do it 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. What is happening? If I made these two equal, my geometric mean that I am now getting is going to be bigger than the earlier geometric mean. So, geometric mean 1 is bigger than the geometric mean 0, original. Then if I took two more numbers, the new geometric mean will be bigger than this fellow. And then the next one, even bigger. And if I continue like this, then by that, after a long time, everybody is almost equal. And then arithmetic mean and geometric mean become equal, because if all these numbers are equal, what are they equal to? A plus A plus A plus A, NA by N, A power N by power 1 by N, A. So arithmetic and geometric mean become equal. Okay, by making all these numbers equal, what I have done is to keep the arithmetic mean the same. But if I keep on increasing the geometric mean, finally it turns out to be equal to arithmetic mean, which means the original geometric mean must have been lesser. Is the idea clear? So this is a proof which really does not reuse in some sense. It uses this idea that you will continuously keep changing and keep incrementing the numbers, and by incrementing it continuously you manage to reach this, which means the original one was smaller than this one. That kind of a proof. Of course you can also prove this directly, which I am not going to do, by doing it, writing it step by step. Maybe you can even start with what is the 2, where is the 2 thing? Here. And you can continue to build on top of this. Okay. So, but what I want you to just keep in mind is that arithmetic mean is greater than or equal to geometric mean is a very, very useful and fundamental idea that we will use in many problems. I'm not going to prove this, but I'm going to ask you to use this a lot. I mean, we have proved it one way. There are many other ways in which you can prove them, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to prove this side either. Instead, let us look at applications of this. For example, suppose I had a square plus b square. Now usually when you do a square plus b square, you will want to do arithmetic mean by saying what? By 2. But I am not going to do that. I am going to write by a plus b. How did I get by a plus b? And I am claiming this is arithmetic mean. No, not an a and b are 1. Because I am now thinking of this as a plus a plus a plus a plus a plus a times. So how many numbers are there? A numbers are there. B numbers are there. So how many total numbers are there? A plus b numbers are there. Yes, I know we can do a square plus b square by 2 is where you treat a square as one number, but you can also treat a square as a's. If I look at a's, how many numbers are there? A numbers. B's, b numbers. Now you can say, wait. I can understand 2 numbers, 3 numbers, 4 numbers. 2 by 3 numbers. A could have been 2 by 3. Correct, but it turns out that you can convert many of these things for rational numbers by just simply multiplying by the LCM, and then they'll all become integers. So whatever will work for integers will turn out to work for rational numbers, and then by approximation it will work for real numbers. because you can approximate a real number with a very, very close rational number, however level you want. So therefore it will be true in general. So I'm going to assume that this is true for all possibilities. I'll also show a slightly more something where we convert this properly, but right now I just want you to think about something like this. What have we done? We have now treating a square as a's plus b's. What will be its geometric mean? A into A into A into A times. So what will that be? A power A, B power B, power 1 by A plus B. Suddenly we've got a nice new theorem. Okay, and so if I now compare this, I can take this to the power of A plus B, and I can say A square plus B square power A plus B is greater than or equal to A power A, B power B, and A plus B power A plus B. Right? Now, this one doesn't look like arithmetic mean, geometric mean, but it is. So this is one of the places where you can use that same idea, modify it, and you can get something that looks like this. So this is one important application. I'm not saying this particular problem, I'm saying things like this you can come up with, and this will be an important application. There is one more general case. Okay, so in a general case you can say, if I had P A1s and I had Q A2s and R A3s and so on, what is the arithmetic mean? This thing divided by P plus Q plus R plus, and this must be greater than the geometric mean. Here we are assuming P, Q, R, etc. are integers, natural numbers. But later on you can say, well, if this is a natural number and you want a fraction there, this divided by this is also like a fraction. Okay, divide everything in the numerator by 5. Now you have lots of fractions. Divide everything in the denominator by 5. So if it is true for natural numbers, you can convert it and say it will be true for, because you are dividing numerator and denominator by 5, it won't make any difference. Anyway, at this point I just want you to think about this 1 minute. Okay, this is greater than or equal to A1 power P, A2 power Q, A3 power R and so on, power 1 by P plus Q plus R. By the way, that's what we used here. Do you see this is the same idea? Okay, so many times what will happen is, you may be given a question that looks like this. 3a plus 4b plus c is greater than, or what is the maximum value, or what is the minimum value. So let me say I want the minimum value of this, let us say to the power of, I can choose this in so many different ways. Okay, one way is to say I would like this to the power of something, power of 8. Okay, but I don't want power of 8. I would like to say power of 6. Divided by a cube and b square c. What is the maximum value of this? This is one possible question. Another way in which we can think about this question is to ask something that looks very much like this, except it may look like this. 3a plus 4b plus c power 8 by a cube b power 4 c. So what is this greater than or equal to? If I am saying what is the least value of this, if this is always greater than or equal to, let's say 7, the least value will be 7. If this is greater than or equal to some 5, least value will be 5. So you can ask what is the least value of this. How will I do that? That's easy. How will you do that? Because you can say 3a plus 4b plus c by 8 is greater than or equal to, arithmetic mean is greater than or equal to a cube b power 4 c power 1 by 8. And so if I now raise all sides to power 8, so this power 8 by this power 8 is this. So you bring this down and you will get this is greater than 8 power 8. So what is the least value? 8 power 8. Is it possible? It's possible if all the numbers are equal. All what numbers are equal? If A is equal to B is equal to C, because it's 3 A's and 4 B's and so many C's. Under that condition, they are all equal. Is that okay? So will you be able to achieve 8 power 8? Yes. Therefore, that is the least value. And obviously every other value must be greater than 8 power 8. Do you understand how we solve this problem? Just direct application of arithmetic mean greater than geometric mean. How will I do this one?
4b is 2b and 2b.
Ah, that's very good. Okay, so you treat this 4b as 2b plus 2b. See, it's your choice how you want to treat it. So if I wrote this as a plus a plus a plus 2b plus 2b plus c, now you have to be very careful, divided by 6 must be greater than or equal to a cube 2b whole square, which is 4b square c power 1 by 6. So if I raise both sides to the 6th power, so I'm going to get this power 6 and this power 6. Now notice, this fellow is 3a plus 4b plus c power 6 by a cube b square c, that's all I want. A cube b square c is all I want. So the 4 is still left there. So it's 4 times 6 power 6. And is equality met? Is equality met?
Yeah.
Yes? How?
If A is equal to 2B is equal to
It's equal if A is equal to 2B is equal to C. All the numbers have to be equal. So this will actually achieve 4 times 6 power 6 if this was equal to this is equal to this, which is of course true, is equal to this is equal to this is equal to this. Okay, so equality will be achieved only if A is equal to 2B. If A is equal to B, you won't meet. Whereas there A equals B will allow you to get the equality. Put A equals B equals C, you will get 3 plus 4 plus, assuming everything was 1. So you will get 8 power 8 by 1, 8 power 8. Whereas if I put here 3, 4, C and I call it basically 1, 1, 1, I am going to get 8 power 6. And it will turn out 8 power 6 is it greater than 4 into 6 power 6 or is it less than 4 into 6 power 6? It will be greater than, okay, because you can look, this will always be greater. So if you substitute, you will find that it will be greater. But if I want to check, I can say this is 8 by 6, which is 4 by 3 power 6 must be greater than 4. And so if I try 3 power 6, so this is 4 power 5 greater than or equal to 3 power 6. So this we can calculate quite easily because 9 into 9 into 9. So this is 81 into 9, 729. And that side what do you have? 4 into 4, 16 into 16.
1024.
Okay, so this is how much? 1024. So yeah, so clearly it must be greater. But we just proved this was greater. So it better be greater. Okay, when will this be equal? When A is equal to 2B is equal to C. So do you see how we can use this arithmetic mean greater than geometric mean in very interesting and nice ways? So this will be one important theorem for us to use all over. And so that is basically what this sheet explains. The conditional, when does it become equal? The condition is all the numbers are equal. This is valid. What is the overall condition? When can you apply AM greater than GM greater than HM? When all the numbers are positive. And by the way, you can do that P times A1 plus P times A2, I mean Q times A2, etc. You can do that if PQ, etc. are also positive. Do you see that this additional part where I do P1, let's say P1A1 plus P2A2 plus P3A3 and so on by P1 plus P2 plus P3 is actually the same thing as arithmetic mean in some sort of an extended way. Right? You are assuming there are P1 A1s, including the case when P1 is 1 by 3. So 1 by 3 A1s. It may not sound like a normal thing to say, but that's the basic idea. You can do it when you have 0.6 A's instead of saying that I have 5 A's. You can use it for all sorts of numbers as long as they are positive. Now there are a couple of other rules, and so let me just explain that as well, then we'll go to problem. Shall we do that? So if you look at this the third one, look at the third one, and the second one in some sense is related to the third one. Okay, so if I had these numbers A1, A2, A3, think about A1 cube plus A2 cube plus A3 cube plus A4 cube by n. This is the arithmetic mean of the cubes. Now I can look at arithmetic mean of the numbers, and I can look at the arithmetic mean of the squares. Is there any relationship between them? And it turns out there is. This is bigger than A1 plus A2 plus AN by n into A1 square plus A2 square by n. Do you see what is this? This is the arithmetic mean of the squares, that is the arithmetic mean of the individual numbers, and if you multiply the two, this is the arithmetic mean of the cubes. Arithmetic mean of the cubes is bigger than the arithmetic mean of power 1 into arithmetic mean of power 2. So in general, if you look at the statement that is there, third one, if I took A1 power P plus Q plus A2 power P plus Q, this is the arithmetic mean of power P plus Q, greater than arithmetic mean of power P into arithmetic mean of power Q. Under a condition. One very simple condition is P and Q greater than 0. But it turns out to be so much more general than that, that I would like to tell you all the other conditions. If both P and Q are greater than 0, this is true. If both P and Q are less than 0, also this is true. That is, if P and Q have the same sign, this is true. Okay. If P and Q have opposite signs, then the inequality reverses. Okay, but right now, just for application, you can look at I have given you the statement where they have the same sign. Okay, and if you look at, there is a proof for us at question number 7. So question number 7 is the same as this one. I am not proving it now, I am just asking you to think about this idea. It's a very powerful idea. This is not telling you between arithmetic mean and geometric mean. This is actually just telling you arithmetic mean and arithmetic means. So this is a rule about arithmetic means with arithmetic means. This is the arithmetic mean of the P plus Qth power. Okay, and that is arithmetic mean of the Pth power into arithmetic mean of the Qth power. If all numbers were equal, what will this be? A power P, A power Q, A power P plus Q. So then it will be equal. If all the numbers are equal, this will be equal. So equality in case all of them are equal. Now one very nice case out of this that comes out is if I say P plus Q plus R, what do you think will happen? Well, if this is greater than that into that, this you multiply by R, because you can say Q and R multiplication, Q plus R is going to be bigger. Q plus R and P together, P plus Q plus R will be bigger. So, arithmetic mean of P plus Q plus R plus S plus power is greater than or equal to arithmetic mean of P, arithmetic mean of Q, arithmetic mean of Rth power, and so on. Okay. What if P, Q, R, S, T, everything was 1? This is arithmetic mean of P plus Q plus Rth power, which is actually, suppose there were m things here. So it is A1 power m plus A2 power m and so on is greater than or equal to A1 plus A2 plus A3 by n, which is the arithmetic mean, usual arithmetic mean, A1 plus A2 plus A3 power m. Suppose I made P 1 by k, Q as 1 by k. This is valid for all sorts of P and Q. Suppose I made all of them 1 by k. Then what will happen? I will get m by k. And then what will happen there? I will have 1 by k, 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 right? Power m. So it really doesn't matter. You can make this power m by k. And then you will end up with 1 by k to the power of m. But this, if I assumed A itself to be, A1 itself to be A1 power 1 by k, as that's my starting point, I can convert it back to something that looks like this. So anyway, after a little bit of work back and forth, you can prove that this is valid not just for integers, because right now I just showed it for integers by making all of them 1. There are m terms with 1, 1, 1, then this is true for natural numbers. What we can do is we can show that it is true also for any sorts of rational number under the condition that m is greater than 1. Then by doing some other golmaal, where you can make this 1 by a and so on, you can, because 1 by a is also a positive number, you can show that this will also be true when m is less than 0. But it is not true when m is between 0 and 1. When it is between m is between 0 and 1, this sign will reverse. Okay, so if you look at the statement 2, that tells you arithmetic mean of the mth powers is greater than the mth power of the arithmetic mean. But if you see, that is coming straight out of this rule. I like this rule a lot, because with this you can prove many things. Okay? So this is the arithmetic mean of P plus Q power, arithmetic mean of A1, A2, A3, P plus Q power is greater than the arithmetic mean power P into arithmetic mean power Q. Okay, so therefore you can do this recursively, you can say P plus Q plus R plus S is greater than. And remember, arithmetic mean is greater than geometric mean. So therefore you will have a corresponding thing for this that you can write as geometric mean. But this is much more powerful than that, because you are saying arithmetic mean to arithmetic mean. If you just convert it to geometric mean, you have made it too small. Okay, so is that clear to everyone? So that means we know what rule 2 is in some sense, though not formally proved it. We have proved rule 2 from rule 3, starting from here.